Right, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Spider-Man Miles Morales video game Tanked confirmed via Sony leak. So if you didn't realise, Sony got hacked and there's lots of documents which got leaked as a result of that hack. Bad times. Majorly bad times. A lot of people have been talking about the Insomniac Wolverine video game. That obviously got leaked a lot as well. People are questioning that. But another thing which came out was that this Spider-Man Miles Morales video game did about 50% less sales than the original Spider-Man game, which is quite a lot. I mean, that's quite a significant drop off. So it's interesting. It is very, very interesting. Now, I think there's a few things to consider. I'm sure there's elements where different, not necessarily consoles, but sort of state of play in the industry. There has been a flux with respect to consoles. Do we go for PlayStation? I say PS5, but PlayStation in general. Do we go for Xbox? Do you go for PC? It's kind of all over the place, really. But the numbers aren't good anyway when you're looking at them. This game would have made money, but it's not exactly like a smash hit success. So anyway, we'll dive into it today. Hit subscribe if you're new here. And ultimately what this shows primarily is that people prefer Peter Parker than Miles Morales, and this sort of push to get Miles Morales replacing Peter Parker, people just aren't buying it, literally. So we now have official confirmation that the first Spider-Man video game released in 2018 sold better than the Miles Morales sequel released in 2020. So recall back in December 2020, it was reported that the Miles Morales video game tanked in sales, selling less than the first Spider-Man game. Obviously, loads of people were like, "Oh, you're just a hater, shut up." So loads of people didn't want to believe that, of course. And loads of excuses came out, as always. Loads of fans saying that they were waiting for their PS5 version as well. Which, maybe, that's true, it could be. But we do now have official leaked documents from Sony confirming that the Miles Morales video game sold substantially less than the Spider-Man game. It's not a small amount, it's a lot. So, if you didn't know, 1.7 terabytes worth of data got hacked. So, following the Insomniac leak, sales numbers for Sony games have also leaked online for PS4, PS5 and PC. Amongst the leaked data, 1.7 terabytes worth, it's a report that shows that Miles Morales video game sold 50% less than Spider-Man. Now, the data itself reveals that Spider-Man, released for the PS4 in 2018, sold 22.685 million units, with net sales of 827 million. Miles Morales game, so that released in 2020. And that was 11.125 million units of net sales, worth $427 million. It's a lot. Now, obviously, this article goes, well, maybe people are still waiting to buy the PS5 version. Leaks have also revealed that Spider-Man 3, Marvel Spider-Man 3, is on the way, set for a 2028 release. But there's no plans for a sequel to Miles Morales, which would indicate that people weren't interested in that. It would indicate that the PS5, the argument, the excuse that people are waiting for their PS5 version is just that. It's an excuse. It's nonsense. Now, $427 million, you know what? Like, that's not horrendous. That's okay. Some of these video games do genuinely cost as much as movies nowadays. They do. It's quite insane how much they cost to make. So do I think $427 million would have fallen into profit? Yeah, I think so, but not a great deal. When you're looking, 800 million upwards, you definitely would have had a profit at that point, because we know that Hogwarts Legacy was hugely profitable for Warner Brothers, especially because they don't license out the content to anyone. It's, they are making their own games. So it's hugely successful for them, hugely profitable as well. But, it's this argument that pops up on Twitter every now and then. Oh, it's Spider-Man. And then people go, that's not Spider-Man, that's Miles Morales. And I think, I think this is a worthwhile conversation to have, because it does seem that there's an artificial inflation of this character. And the interest, although it is there, don't get me wrong, like, there is an interest there. I don't think it's anywhere near as big as people pretend it to be. And I'm not trying to shit on the character. I'm not trying to say he's a bad character. Ultimately, I don't really know that much about him. He just seems a lot like Peter Parker, but black, quite frankly. He doesn't take photos, though. But he got bit by the exact same spider, if I remember rightly. So there's like there's a whole lot of stuff where you just go, whatever. Is this just a cheap rip-off? But you got to remember as well, like, comic book fans are a dying breed in the respect that there was a peak for comic book fans and Spider-Man in general. The Spider-Man, if you're looking per the movies, Spider-Man is one of the most profitable comic book characters ever to be released. Those movies always do incredible numbers. Even going way back to Sam Raimi stuff. They do great numbers. Spider-Man's an incredibly liked character. Probably one of the most popular characters that Marvel has ever created. And I know that probably sounds quite controversial, but just on numbers alone, hugely popular. And so it always seemed weird to me that they were looking to push Miles Morales instead. Obviously we know why, because, the message and stuff. But it always seemed a bit bizarre, just simply because they've got something that works very well. So, it is what it is. It's comical that, Sony, or at least Insomniac, keeps getting burned by these leaks. But these sales figures, they're not great. They're not great. And yeah, maybe there's been issues with the PS5 getting out there and stuff. There's a whole chip shortage and things. I get that, but would it be enough to stop 11 million people from buying it? I don't think so. I mean, 11 million units. That's a lot to be down by, isn't it? It's not a small amount. And like I said, 427 million, it probably would have made some profit, but it's not huge bankable numbers. And there's also some other elements here, which is quite funny. So 2021 games, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart got 2.34 million. MLB The Show 21, 1.6 million. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, 1.49. It's not been that great. Numbers have not been great. 2020 games, here you have it. Spider-Man Miles Morales, 10.184. Are we seeing... I think we're probably seeing a decline. This is what's comical. 2020. This is when people were still locked inside their homes. The numbers are not great. Isn't it interesting? You'd think that they'd be higher. I mean, look at this. Pre-2020. Look at these numbers. God of War, 20 million. Horizon Zero Dawn, 19. I definitely think we're seeing a decline in people interested in video games as well now. Again, 2020... That should have been peak. People should have been loving it. Anyway, whatever. Love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below in the comments. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.